Hey guys, so today is the day to get my aunt's Echo SRM 2100 running. So I got the starter put back on, got the new model label put on, so it looks really good now. That way we can easily tell exactly on what model trimmer this is. And so before we do, I'm gonna take this carburetor off and put new diaphragms and gasket on it, just to ensure that it's trouble free and won't have any more problems. And so without further ado, we'll do that. So just loosen up these two screws. Okay, they're loose enough. We'll get this off, and then unhook your throttle cable. And so our carburetor is off. Okay, so once again, this is a Zama carburetor, and it's a C1U series. This is a model K52. Kind of a similar carburetor on my grandfather's Echo HC 1500, which, if I remember correctly, that carburetor is a Zama C1U K51. So, pretty similar. Okay, so let's start getting this carburetor off. We'll start with this side right here. Okay. So there's our metering diaphragm, which this diaphragm apparently still looks pretty good. So I'll just separate it from the gasket. Yeah, so still looks pretty good, but just for preventative maintenance, I'm just going to replace them. As you can actually see here, the carburetor itself is pretty clean. And so yeah. So now let's go ahead and take off this side. Okay, that one's off. I'll just separate all this from the primer. You can tell that's pretty clean. There's our pump diaphragm, which it's, however, not bad either. It's usually it's one of these plastic diaphragms, which I like these diaphragms. I find that they last much longer than the rubber ones. So I'll toss those out to the side. So I'm not going to really bother doing no cleaning on this carburetor. Just by looking at it, this carburetor is very clean. So that's nice. And so now I'll grab my kit and we'll reassemble this carburetor. And so the kit that I'm putting in is a partial repair kit from Zama. So it's a GND 41, and it consists of with just the gaskets and diaphragm. And so we'll go ahead and I'll get this open and we'll start reassembling the carburetor. Alright, so first we'll start out with this side of the carburetor. So first what you want to do is put the gasket on. It goes on just like that. Line them up with the holes. You then take your metering diaphragm and put it on top too. And then now for this cover here for the carburetor, clips on just like that, and then just get your 2 screws and then tighten them up. So once you just get them on, just snug the screws and then just tighten them up evenly, just so that way it all goes on nice and evenly, just to prevent any fuel leaks or air leaks. And don't over tighten it, because you could easily strip the threads on the carburetor. So just use common sense. Okay, so this side is all done, so now for the pumping side. Next, push out your old primer bulb and then put in your new primer bulb. And if I remember correctly, I think the part number for this primer bulb is 0057004 from Zama. And so that's now on. Now we'll get the pumping side assembled here. And I don't know if you can actually see it. There's a hummingbird at the feeder. Just while I'm working here. That's a female ruby-throat hummingbird. Alright, so now back to the trimmer. Okay, so on this, first install your gasket. If I can get it on there correctly. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's the right way it goes on. So put your gasket on first, and then your diaphragm. And then so now get all this put right on. It's easier to do it like, oh, actually, like had it backwards there. Yeah, here we go. Just put them in like that. Might want to depress the throttle a little bit and make it pop right in, and it is. And so now get our primer put back on, and now I'll tighten up the 2 screws, and just once again just make sure that they are tightened up evenly. So that one is tight, and so is this one. Just again, don't over tighten them because you could easily strip the threads. Alright, so this carburetor is now ready to be put onto the trimmer. And so before I do, I'll need to put the new grommet on the tank and then install the fuel lines.